So, a little bit of an interesting episode today. A couple days ago, we had a good friend, Brad Pierce, on the podcast from Louisville. And being that we are in Los Angeles, we did it remotely. And due to that, we did have some technical difficulties and lost about 20 minutes from the middle of the podcast where Brad talked about his Ironman race that he did. But still want to put this podcast out because there's still a ton of value. And Brad talks about his marathon that he did before the Ironman, how he runs his business from Louisville opposed to being in a big city like Los Angeles, how Brad and I met and ended up traveling Europe for free, and how he goes about getting paid to travel, reaching out to clients. And there's a ton of value still in this episode. So we're still going to put it out. But if you do want to hear the part that we ended up losing about Brad's Ironman, let us know. And we will re-record it and go into a little bit more detail about the Ironman because it was a good conversation. But yeah, Braden's in Oregon right now, so doing this intro alone. But just wanted to give you guys a heads up of what is to come in this episode. And yeah, we'll get into it. Hope you guys enjoy.
So how did you and Chad Netter meet?
Dude, honestly, I don't remember our first conversation. All I know is you showed up at the villa in Bali.
Okay, yeah, so that's what happened. Miguel and I had met like once before in Ohio, and you were traveling with Miguel in Bali,
Yeah.
and then I think I was just randomly in Bali by myself, and then
This was the time you just left. You just left with that.
Yeah, this is like right after I quit my job, and I just sent it to Bali by myself for a month. And I randomly, just while I was there, saw that Miguel was there. I don't think I knew that he was going. And saw that he was with you and just slid into his DMs and connected. And then you guys tried to find me at a cafe and just got lost on the beach.
I remember that. Now I remember that. Okay. So we were going to meet up.
Yeah.
And where were you at? Were you in like Canggu or something like that? Or what? How do you say it?
Yeah, I was doing some editing at this cafe.
That's what it was. I remember.
In Canggu.
So we were in a different part of Bali, and we went there. No, we were already there. We were eating like lunch, and then we went to some shops over there. And we knew that's the area you were in, so we hit you up. And then we tried to walk and go find you. But we walked to the wrong... I guess we walked the wrong way. We were walking for like 45 minutes, could never find you, and we just ditched it. And then I think you came over that next day to our place.
Either that day or the next day to your guys' pretty sick villa in Seminyak.
Yeah, it was nice.
And then,
it was awesome.
Did we hang out again, or that was it? I think that was it.
I remember you were going out like our second to last night, and we were going to go out with you. But we ended up not going, and I think that was it.
So you just met once in Bali.
Yeah.
I think it was just once.
And at the time, your girlfriend was there with you, right? At the time, girlfriend.
Yeah, it was me, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my fiance, and then Miguel.
Let's go.
And Barrett. Barrett was there. Barrett Shutt.
Yeah.
We planned this Bali trip like... It was honestly, this is such a weird phase. We can dig into it if you want, but we planned this Bali trip maybe like a month and a half before. Like just marked it, booked our flights, and went.
Just sent it.
It was such like a weird season. I just left the company that I was working all in at in Louisville, and ended up moving on to a different phase. And I wanted to travel and just create some videos, but I didn't really have any plan with it. I was like, oh, let me bring Miguel along, who's one of my good friends, who's another great videographer, and we'll just start creating some videos and have some fun for a little bit. So we just booked this Bali flight and invited Barrett and my girlfriend, and we just showed up and just had some fun in Bali for 2 weeks and shot a little bit of videos. Like no plan, like we weren't there to do anything else rather than just kind of hang out, explore, and shoot a little bit. And then that's where we met Chad.
And then so what? When did we do Europe? Like
that was
no, that was like
we went to Europe at the end of July of that year. So Bali was in May, like the second week of May is when I went to Bali, and I was there for like 2.5 weeks. You got to Bali a little bit after us, but you stayed later. I remember.
Yeah, and then we did Europe a couple months later.
Yeah, and then we were trying to figure out what we were going to do next, because I was like, I want to go somewhere this summer, because I knew I was going to get into another phase of like head down focus if it was like another company or if it was an event or something. So I wanted to enjoy like another month of summer. So I was like, let's go to Europe. And I was like, Miguel, you want to go? Miguel was down. Jenny Wren went again. And I was like, yo, who else should we invite? And we were like, what's Chad up to? And I think I just texted you. I was like, you want to go to Europe? And I sent you the dates. And he was like, I'm down. Met this guy once. Like, we didn't have any plans for Europe. Didn't have anything going on. I was like, you want to go to Europe for a month? He's like, down.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, and then the second time I saw you was at that hotel in Barcelona. I just walked in the door.
Yeah. Second time I met you was like in Europe. That you just happened to
was
go
part
on
of the
this
trip.
with us.
It was just sent it. You were like, fuck it, this is gonna be a good time. So you'd only met him once, him and Miguel one time.
Once.
Yeah, just one. No, I met Miguel. I had met Miguel once
Miguel.
before Bali, so I probably met Miguel like twice before this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was like a charity thing. Like you were getting paid to like have him come around with you guys.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. His
Yeah.
mom reached out to me.
Exactly. And then after my mom reached out, I finally like.
You were able to connect.
I had a
Yeah.
few-
She
few,
paid for
uh,
my
phone
flights
call
and everything
interviews
too,
with
so it was
Brad.
nice.
No, I just
pass it
want to
up.
make sure that the listeners weren't, they weren't getting
Yeah.
confused by the whole story.
And then it was like a charity thing. Like he took me around all of Europe, and we went to Barcelona.
Yeah, you guys sent it to some countries.
Barcelona, Ibiza.
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 Tuscany.
Didn't take a pill in Ibiza. Tuscany. Venice.
Then we went
Florence.
I went to Florence. Went to
Florence for
a couple other cities around there, like smaller towns. And then we went to London.
big London. London was great. I got
Yeah,
my first
that was
tat.
another trip that was just like that whole phase, like that 4-month phase of that was so weird because I'd been in such a routine from basically right out of high school when I started my first real company. Like I was in such like a 9-to-5 routine, or even more than that, like really earlier that and later than that, to where like I didn't have all this time where I could just go take time off and go travel. So I didn't want to have anything I had to do. Like I didn't want to set anything up. I didn't want anything on my schedule. So I was like, let's just book flights to Europe and we'll find out where we want to go when we get there. And that's kind of what we did.
Yeah,
we were
100%.
like, we booked our flights to Ibiza or Ibiza like the night before we went. It wasn't planned. We were just like, hey, we should go there.
Yeah.
And then
same with London.
thing with London was the same thing. So we were going to go to either Greece or what's the place in southern Italy?
Saint-Tropez.
No, it was
that's France.
Monaco.
France.
Nice.
It's like this
France.
beach.
Oh, we're talking about France. I thought you said France.
I feel like it started with a C.
In Italy?
Starts with a C.
Yeah,
Southern Italy.
It was just like really hard to get to. It was
This
a
beach
poppin'
town.
place on the beach
Okay.
in southern Italy, but it was hard to get to. And we were like,
Okay.
let's just go to London. Neither one of us had been there, so we just booked flights again. Like I think it was the night before, when we were in Venice, and went to London.
That's good
And we were
stuff.
there for we were in London the longest. We were in London for like a week, I think.
Yeah, and then I stayed a little bit while after you guys left.
Yeah, you
A few
stayed
days, I
longer.
think.
So it was such a weird time because I just didn't want anything on my schedule. I wanted to be so open and just sporadic and whatnot. But it almost got to a point where it was just like purposeless. But I'm glad I did it for that short period of time, because once I was done with that trip, I was ready to like get things reorganized and into another like flow state of achieving things. So we had a lot of fun, like so many good memories on that trip.
That was the best trip. That was like, once this whole Rona thing is over, we got to do a round 2.
Like there was so many moments on that trip that I just like I could never even talk about. It was just so wild. Like just so crazy. Like I still have some of the videos on my phone. And when the 1 year anniversary went by and it popped up on my phone, I was looking at him just like laughing my ass off. It was so funny.
Yeah, I sent you some good clips a couple weeks ago. Some clips that I found with the
We were on something else.
The statue in Italy was good.
And
the guy who thought you were a Fortnite YouTuber.
I forgot about that one.
This guy in Florence thought he was like
Tifu or some shit ninja.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't even doing it. I was like eating ice cream, and Miguel had his camera out, and this little kid walked up to me, this little like Italian kid, and he was like pointing to me with his dad, like thought I was some YouTuber. He's like, "Are you a famous YouTuber?" I was like, "I don't know." And I was like just like playing with him, but I never told him yes. And at the end, he was like, "So what's your name?" It's like, "Brad Pierce. You can look me up. You won't find anything." And then he went on, but we made his day. At least he thought I was somebody that he watched.
The kid was so hyped.
That's
he thought
great.
It was like Logan Paul or something.
But yeah, that was fun. So that's basically how me and Chad met and got into our groove of our relationship so far. So it's been good.
That's pretty good stuff.
Well, we'll get more into the traveling stuff later, but
yeah.
First of all, you are newly engaged. Congrats.
Thanks.
Yeah, let's
I
go.
appreciate it. About 2.5 weeks now. I'm pumped.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
freshly engaged.
Freshly engaged. It's exciting. It's a good time.
How long have you guys been together?
You what?
How long have you guys been together?
Like almost 5 years when we got engaged. So it was a long time.
Holy shit.
But the thing is we started dating like in a high school phase. So you're not going to get engaged when you're in high school or even like beginning of college. I mean, some people do, but we were so immature. So it wasn't really like we were dating for 5 years. It was more like we started taking our relationship serious like for 2 years. So when I say we were dated for 5 years and people are like, oh my gosh, it took you that long to get engaged. It's like, well, we were like 14 and we were 16 years old. So it's a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, she's awesome. And we really, we pair nice because she's more of an anchor and I'm more of like the guy that's just like crazy go-getter. And she's more of like, let's bring it back to earth a little bit. So I don't lose myself. So it's good. She's a perfect match. So we're excited.
You guys remind me exactly like Nick and Stephanie.
Oh yeah. I don't really watch his stuff that much, but Miguel said that a lot too.
Does he?
Yeah, Miguel always talked about it. He's like, oh, you need to meet him, dude. I need to introduce you to him. You two are like the same people. And I was like, yeah, one day we'll have to.
You are like the same person.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. There's
That's
actually
sweet.
the more that I get
you have,
involved with like what I'm doing, the more people like that I meet. Because I think that they all, like when it comes to like mind-driven and endurance-driven like type people, they all kind of hang around each other because they all stick at the same events and they're all in the same areas of town. Like Boulder is like the capital of endurance events. And when we're there next week, like I'm supposed to go to a bike fitting with this guy and he works with like everybody in that area. And like half of them live there. It's just like they all train together. They all like do life together. They all hold each other accountable to their different goals and stuff. It's just like a really intense small group of people. But they're all like friends. They all know each other.
I
like
love
they're
that.
familiar
I
with
love
each
that.
other. So it's interesting.
When did you get into this whole Ironman? Like, how did you get into Ironmans? Where did you find out about them? What made you want to go do an Ironman?
Yeah.
You just did an Ironman.
You just finished one. You just finished one a few days ago. How are you feeling before we even get into that?
I'm actually
You
starting
sore
to
as
feel
hell?
better. Yeah,
Okay.
so I'll give you the full Ironman recap. Starting to lose my voice a little bit now, but the first 2 days were terrible. Felt really sick. I was finally able to eat on Sunday. But that was like the first day. You don't feel right. Like nothing like clicks in your body this first couple of days. You're just restless. You don't get much sleep. You can't really eat anything and whatnot. But I'll dive into that. But how did I get into this was really right after we got back from Europe. I was like, okay, I really need to start setting things up. Like what do I want to complete in the next couple of years? What are some real short-term stuff that I can achieve in the next couple of months? And then like, what do I want to achieve in like the next 5 years? Because just running around with my head cut off in Europe isn't going to really get me anywhere, Maybe it'll
Totally.
bring like a ton of fun memories, which is awesome to have, and it's good for moderation to have some of that, but it's not really going to push me anywhere to where Like, I want to see myself. And I like set such high expectations to where, you know, I got to make sure I can achieve like something great because I know I'm capable of it. And if I slack up on that, I just feel super shitty, like just terrible, you know, and I get in like a bad state. So right after we got back from Europe, I signed up for a marathon because I was like, I kind of want to get into something fitness related to where I can make it a challenge, or I can mark a date and have like an actual competition. And I'd been weightlifting forever, but I'm never going to be like the strongest guy. I'm never going to win a weightlifting competition because I'm just a smaller built guy. So I wanted to do something that was a challenge. So I was like, why don't I just sign up for a marathon? 2 other of my buddies did it too. They didn't end up doing the marathon, but they signed up. So we all kind of did it together. So signed up for this marathon, just started training. And what I learned when I started doing these runs is like, man, I love this because it sucks, but it's like, that's my one time I can get away for like an hour a day, and it's therapy. Like, it may sound crazy, but like just that time alone and just thinking like for an hour a day when you're out there, like just trying to run or just do something hard on your body is so therapeutic, to where like if I missed it a day, like I could tell I started to miss it, you know, like something was off my body, or I like was angry, or I was like, you know, lazy or tired, or didn't feel right. So I just became addicted to it. And when I told myself, I was like, I just want to complete this marathon and then I'll figure something else out. Like a month before my marathon, I just like really started to realize like, I really want to do really well in this marathon. Like, I set my expectations of finishing it to like, I want to do this marathon in under 3 hours and qualify for Boston. So like,
which is insane.
This is, it's just like another unrealistic goal. But like, my thing is like, I set the bar here, which is a good goal, and I know I can accomplish it. But like, I wanted to set the goal a little bit higher, or really way higher, because I know if I strive for this one rather than here, I'll be a lot further along, even if I don't accomplish it. So as long as I don't hold on to the result, and I'm not dying for the result, but more of like the progress on myself is what I'm looking for, then I'll be happy with wherever I get the actual result of like, you know, I grew as a person and I was able to run a lot quicker and push myself a lot harder than maybe if I just went out and just tried to complete it. So I tried to take it real serious that last really like 6 weeks. Ended up finishing the marathon 3:15. So way quicker, because my goal before was 4 hours. You know, it's like in 4 hours, it's doable. Like, somebody can go out and train for a couple months and run a 4 hour marathon. If you just work at it, you'll do it. But like 3:15 is a whole nother step.
What's the pace for like 3 hours?
7:15, I think.
That's insane.
It's quick.
For 26
26.2. So like, I was holding the pace till like 2021. And I had some bad stress fractures in training in my shins because I just like, I overdid it. It was an overuse injury because I all of a sudden just got obsessed with running. And I have this addictive personality to where whenever I get hooked on something, that's all I do. I can't do anything else. And I just kill my body over it. So I developed these stress fractures and was in PT getting work done on them. And about mile like 20, 21, they just gave out. And I was at a 6:48 pace. And I just dropped.
Oh my God.
Like, I just got dropped big
shit.
time. So like, if I was looking at the result of that race and saying, damn, I didn't get 3 hours, like, you know, I failed. But I think the biggest thing that was huge on me is I didn't hold on to that result. I held on to like, holy crap, I just finished a marathon, and I, you know, 21 of those miles, I held like an incredible pace to where if I was just doing like, I just want to complete it, you know, like I might not have moved on to the next greatest thing, because I was so impressed with how my body, when I really turned up the notch that last 6 weeks, I was so impressed how my body performed.
How has being in Louisville, you know, affected your business as opposed to maybe being in like a city like Los Angeles? Or has it made it easier, harder right now? What have you noticed from starting your business and growing it and really having your little home in Louisville?
Because I think a lot of listeners are in like probably smaller cities or smaller towns and are maybe wanting to move to a big city like LA.
And, you know, something we say, too, is, like, even with, like, videography, for example, because we work in it, it's easy to talk about for me. But even in videography, people from, say, a small town in Kansas have this idea like, oh, I'm going to come to LA, I'm going to make it. And it's totally possible. But you're coming out with the big dogs.
Mm-hmm.
The heavy hitters live, the heavy hitter videographers and video producers and whatnot, they live here. So competition's going to be higher. It's going to make it tougher. Like, you're going to have to work your ass off that much more to make it out here and make money being a videographer. So what have in your industry, what have you noticed working in Louisville, and how has it changed and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, the barrier to entry is so much easier in a smaller city because there's so many less people doing it. Like, when I first started doing marketing work, like younger based marketing work, I didn't know another person doing it, like in my city. Now, there's a lot of really big marketing firms in the city, but they do old traditional marketing, and they're just trying to dabble in a little bit of this social media stuff. But we were solely social media. So when we went to companies and said, we know you're working with these people, and they're trying to offer you a social media package that's, $10,000 a month, and all they're doing is this, this, and this, but they're not looking at like how you can improve it. They're just basically implementing an intern to press buttons and post. It was so easy to get clients that I think that moving to LA, if I would have moved to LA and do this, I would have stopped within 6 months.
Would you say that there is less of a need or want for what you're providing in Louisville opposed to as if you were in LA? Or are some of the companies and brands a little bit further behind in like content and their marketing strategies opposed to as the businesses in LA would be? I'd say Louisville's probably 3 to 5 years behind LA. And that's kind of why I wanted to move into more travel-based stuff. Is I was at a point where I knew everybody in Louisville, and even the people I didn't like and the people I liked, I knew them all. And we all kind of worked together on some project. Like, we'd run into this person on this project because it's so small, and this client works with us and they also work with them. So it's like, it's hard to avoid people you don't want to work with or have that name with, but also you kind of run out of clients. And I just wanted to grow my business, and I knew that I had to go basically worldwide to do this. So that's why I got into travel-based stuff, hotel industry. Hotels make a killing, dude. Like, their budgets are just through the roof. So I know I can help them just as much as I'm helping a Louisville company percentage-wise, but their percentage is going to be a lot higher than, a company that's making $500,000 in Louisville, to where a hotel chain that's making, a couple $100 million annually. So
now, Brad, how are these hotels tracking how you're doing for them? Is it more like you're producing a piece of content and people are potentially swiping up to book this hotel, and that's how you're tracking them? How does it work?
Everything's
for you
trackable. So we don't do anything that's not trackable because we want to get the data. So if it's, click rate, if it's purchase rate, luckily they have really good CRM systems at hotel chains. So they can see where they got that person from, if it was from an ad or whatnot, and then what rooms they booked, how much they spent their entire time at the hotel, and if they're going to be a return customer more than likely. So like all the data we get, because we hate doing work that's not trackable because we can't provide them with anything when we give them the reports. So that's why we really like what we do, is because everything online, social media wise, you can get all the data, all the analytics.
Absolutely.
So that's why we enjoy it. And that's why they enjoy working with us, just because we're easy to work with. We're younger kids, but we also aren't crazy, and we have a good head on our shoulders and we know what we're doing. But also they can see every kind of result that we give to them.
Talk about the travel side a little bit more. I know a lot of people probably listening want to travel somehow, want to figure out how to either travel for free or get paid to travel. Talk about because I know when you were in Bali, when we first met, you were doing content for, I think it was the villa that you were staying at.
Yeah.
And then when we went to Europe, we were doing content for the resorts and the hotels that we were staying at. Yeah. How do you go about landing those clients and making that happen?
Yeah, so at first it started with just cold emails, like hundreds of cold emails, just hotels, just offering, hey, we'd love to provide content in return for free stay. That's where it started, is, let's provide them some, what can we do to get the foot in the door without costing them anything? It's got to be a win-win for them. So let's let's go there. Let's create some content for them in return for just, a couple nights stay in one of their rooms. And then once
what are you offering for return as a free stay in return? Like, what are you offering? Like some videos?
Typically it's just like a set of 25 photos, 25 to 30 photos it depends on the hotel. If it's, a bigger hotel chain, maybe we'll throw in like a video if they're giving us like a full villa or something like that. But it really didn't cost us any extra, so we didn't care. I just got Miguel, who believed in the vision as well and wanted to travel. So I was like, hey, I'll get the deals together. Can you help create the content? And we can travel. And he was like, yeah, I'm down. So
Boom.
We were really flexible, basically. If somebody said 50 photos and we didn't have anywhere to stay, we'd shoot the 50 photos. Then there was some where we were staying in 5-star hotels for like a set of 10 photos. It's just like, it was all over the place, but we were so flexible with what we were doing to where we were willing to do whatever, because we just wanted to get the content. 'Cause we had no content to disperse out to other companies. So it's like our first hotel was our hardest hotel because we didn't have anything to show for them, we didn't have any content to show for them. But once we got our foot in the door with one, we knew that were going to be a return customer, because we were going to offer them way more than we told them we were going to give. So if they said 20 photos, we'd double it and give them 40. And sometimes we'd even give them like a video clip on top of it. Just
over-deliver. Over-deliver, and they keep coming back.
That was the only way we ever grew, was because we over-delivered. So,
what would you recommend to someone who, like you said, like the first hotel, who's someone who doesn't have any content to prove what they can provide? What would you recommend to them to
there's a couple different things. If you have any work already, I would just send that, and I think being straight up with people and not trying to beat around the bush is the biggest thing. Say, hey, looking to get into more of the hotel side of photography, and I don't have any work yet in that space, but I have a work from a lot of other spaces, and then show them that and see if they'd be willing to invest in you a little bit. Or you could just go to a hotel in your own city and just show up and shoot until you get kicked out. It's not that hard. I think that, like the thing you were saying earlier about people wanting to go to LA and then start this. Well, it's just an excuse, because once you get to LA, I guarantee you're not going to start anything. It's just an excuse for you to do that,
And they keep putting it off and say, put this huge barrier, like, once I move to LA, I will start doing this. Or
I was the same way.
I
was the same way, dude. When I sold my first business, I was like, all right, got some money. I have I'm going to move to LA now. I'm going to move to LA and I'm going to create this business, and then I'll start my journey, But I was like, started looking at places in LA, and I was like, well, it's a little bit too expensive. And just running a business in California is just probably twice as expensive as Louisville when it comes to taxes and fees and all that. I would have never started the business. Who knows? I'd probably be, I don't know where I'd be if I moved to LA when I wanted to, but I ended up starting it in Louisville, which was just like, I wanted to start the business. That was the number one priority. And then if opportunities led to another city, I would do that, and I'm in a good spot now to where, none of my work is based in Louisville, so I can kind of live wherever. So my location doesn't determine, my work, how much work
I love that. So you're capable of bouncing around to wherever you'd possibly want to be.
That was the goal. That was the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Just to touch on that thing that you mentioned about reaching out to your first client, because I think it was really important, is, and this could go for like any industry, but like you said, just showing up to, if you're trying to book a hotel, say in Greece, and you want to make a trip to Greece, but you don't have any work to show that you can do work for hotels, you can just show up to any hotel around where you live. You don't have to have a deal with them. Just show up, go shoot some content on their premises, and shoot some content for the hotel. They don't even have to know that you're doing it.
You don't got to tell them anything. Just show up.
And then you can and if you want, you can reach out to that hotel afterwards and say like, hey, I just created this video for you guys if you want to use it.
Dude, something for real estate peeps too. What I heard, I saw someone do this, is like they didn't have anything done and they went to an open house, and the real estate guy was like, yo, what are you doing? He's like, I will literally give you this video if you just let me take some videos for a second. The guy's like, go for it. Got his first video. Guy ended up paying him for the video, and then it kind of kicked off his little real estate career for video.
So, and he probably had a client.
people just don't want to do it though. That's the whole thing. People
Yeah.
put up a barrier and they want to cry and not do it and say like, okay, you know what? I'll do it when the opportunity just knocks me in the head. It's just never going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
That's
I think the hardest thing is people say it all the time is just like starting, because once you start, then you start to just build momentum and you continue going. But there shouldn't be an excuse to start. Like, it's just do it. Like, if you wanted enough, you're going to do it. But if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you'll never start, or you'll burn out way too quick. Like,
Chad posted a quote the other day saying something along those lines. You posted on your story. It's like it should be enough motivation for you to want to do something.
Oh yeah, it was something like,
What was it?
the fact that you're not where you want to be should be enough motivation.
There you go.
yeah. I mean, it really is. Like, building a business, like just in business terms, building a business is so hard that if you absolutely don't love what you're doing, then you won't last more than 5 years. You know?
Yeah,
And
I think that's the main thing.
like, it's just you face so many challenges when you're building a business, and the biggest thing is people think, oh, I want to be my own boss. If you have any employees, you're at the mercy of them. You are not your own boss. You're working for them. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I had a bunch of employees at one time, and I didn't realize that. That's something I had to learn. But it shouldn't be an excuse, not to start because you don't have something or something isn't handed to you. Like, go out and figure it out. That's the biggest thing.
Learn as you go.
Learn as you go, totally.
Learn as you go.
Dude, that's the same shit with our stuff. Like, when we start out, we're like, oh, someone's like, do you have insurance? I'm like, we have to have insurance? Jesus Christ, we gotta go get insurance so we can film at these places. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Just the little things like that. They're like, oh, you have your LLC started? I'm like, probably should look up how to get that all set up. I mean, there's so many things like that though, but you learn as you go. You learn on the fly, and if you learn quick, you're able to adapt and to continue to build.
Yeah. The best things that ever happened to me were like the moments that I was the most stressed or most anxious in business, because those are the biggest.
That's where you grow the most.
The first time we ever got sued was just like such a scary moment, but like I learned so much in that moment, and the case ended up getting dropped because it was over nothing. But like, it was just like the little things like that. And even what you were saying, like LLC, like, oh, insurance. Oh, we need to go figure that out. But like, we already had the business rolling before we even looked into insurance.
Yeah. No, yeah.
A lot of people would just like,
It's like, why you need
Exactly.
insurance?
No, exactly. That's what I was
exactly.
like, they're like, you got insurance? I'm like, holy shit, we should probably get on this whole insurance thing. Let's make some calls right now. We're going to figure this out.
But I think a lot of people would use the fact that, oh, I need to get insurance. Oh, I need to make an LLC just to push back the fact that they just use that as an excuse to not start and to.
Brad, do you do this? So like, Chad and I love to have, like, I like to, this is personally me. I don't know, I'm putting your name into it too, but personally me, I like to write shit down. Like, we have this magic whiteboard in our little studio setup where we write something down. It's going to get done. It will get done in that day. If we say it's going to get done in the day, we will find a way to make it happen. Do you have a similar thing that you do like that? Or do you like, how do you write down and break down your short-term goals? Do you write them down?
And keep yourself accountable.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm trying to find out a new, routine right now because the last 8 months have been so different. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on this week. But I like the big 3 idea. So I like to break down my goals into quarters, yearly, and then like 5-year, 3 and 5 year goals. So like I have this huge 5-year goal, and then I break it down into like a 1-year goal. And then from 1 year, it's like, what do I need to do each quarter in order to achieve that goal? And then you get down to the quarter, you say, okay, what do I need to do each week in order to reach that quarterly goal? And then each week you look at, okay, maybe each week is something like a piece. Maybe it's getting insurance, okay? And that week you have like a sticky note and you just write down like 3 things on there that you get done that day. And those are the 3 main things you got to focus on. Maybe you have 20 other things, but those are the 3 that you're going to focus on. So I like to write them down just on like a sticky note, but I don't like to do notes on my computer or notes on my phone. I like to like physically write it down and just stick it on my computer somewhere, because I really enjoy like crossing it off. It's just like it's a win,
It's a win. It's a W. I agree.
Those small wins
That's
just
the best
help build that
The
momentum.
win. Yep, exactly.
We don't have an eraser for my whiteboard. I don't know what happened to it, so we've just been using like throwaway masks that we have.
They work great.
They work great as in racers. They're multi-purpose masks. But the feeling at the feeling at the end of the day, wiping off that to-do list is incredible.
Yeah.
It's I look forward to just wiping off something at the end of the day. I don't know what it is.
I don't either. Brad, do you have some advice maybe to your younger self, knowing the knowledge now, that you could put and say, hey, to remind yourself this that would help you in the future, to your younger self? What would you tell your younger self?
I think something that I used to worry about a lot and still do, like in certain times in my life, is like, like don't worry like where you're at right now. Like you'll have it figured out like 3 months down the road, it'll be fine. Or maybe it's a year down the road, it'll be fine. Like there may be months where it's like for example, COVID, so many people were like, holy shit, like I might not have a job next week. Or like, just spending way too much when the economy was great, and then the economy went to crap when COVID hit, and like, well, I've got $5,000 in my bank account. Like, what am I going to do? How am I supposed to have a house, and how am I supposed to, have kids and send them to school if I don't have any money? Like, what am I going to do? I've really got to figure out my life right now. But that's such not the case, because like the craziest stuff can happen. Like we go through another, random deal and I get in a bad spot and I get sued. Maybe something like that happens. I'm just throwing stuff out there. Well, then maybe because I got sued and lost all money, say that happened, but I got like a huge client like a week and a half later because I was consistently doing stuff that would put me in a positive direction, even though all these bad things happened. But that's happened to me before. Like not getting sued and losing a lot of money, but like in a spot where we just had a really dry spell and I just really had to crank out emails and get new clients and cold calling and going to, a lot more meetings just to get new clients when we were first starting. And then like you end up getting like a huge deal like 6 months later, and you were worrying for that 6 months because you had no money, or like you had no funds to pay your employees. Like those type of things when you own a business is like so crucial, because you put everything into the business, and if it doesn't like start to grow right away, like you have these weird moments of like, well, how am I going to pay so-and-so on Friday? It's like stressing that. But knowing it's going to be okay if you really trust what you're doing. And even if it fails, like it'll all work out. Like it'll be okay. You'll start something new, So it's just trying not to stress in the micro, just like week to week, especially with right now with COVID and nobody really knows what's going on with the election and in the economy and what's this virus really doing to us. Just like, don't worry. We'll all figure it out. And the timing thing too. That. It's like everybody's graduating college right now. It's like, man, I should have a job. This is so relevant with my friends. Like some of them don't have jobs yet, or they're not like in a good paying job and they just went to school for 4 years. They're like, man, I don't know what to do. Like I don't have this job paying me 6 figures yet, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, yo, like you're 23 years old, like 24 years old. Like my dad is 65 and he's like super successful, but he's still trying to figure out like some stuff in his life, till he's 90. Like it's just, and I think a lot of the stress comes on us because of like social media and just watching other people be in places where we wish we were. And so like that's why I try not to put a lot of focus on stuff that I can't control. So like that's why I really love this ultra endurance stuff and really fell in love with it, is because everything's dependent on me. I control the situation. Like if I'm running 3 miles that day, I'm running 3 miles. It's not up to if so-and-so liked my post or commented and told me I got to run 3 miles, or if the banker called me and told me I got to go run 3 miles. Like I'm doing it because that's all I got to rely on is myself. And then once I started doing that, like I lost a lot of that anxiety and stress. So I think that's the biggest thing, is don't worry about what's going on right now. You'll figure it out eventually. Just don't stop.
I love that, Brad.
Just don't stop.
Don't fucking stop.
Don't stop. Incredible. I think that was
that was just an incredible
banger of an episode.
Yeah, you really shared some incredible knowledge. I think the listeners are going to be able to extract a lot of useful information from this podcast, and especially to help with their mindset if they're looking to go out on a venture of some kind in business or start that thing that they've been thinking about for the past few months during COVID or whatever it may be. I think they're going to definitely go start it.
Yeah. Thanks 100%. For having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Where can the people find you on the internet?
Yeah, Instagram is Brad Pierce _. That's,
We'll link it below.
Yeah, that's like the only. I'm not big on social media anymore. I went through a phase where I was.
Just big on the stories.
Big
At least
story
Yeah,
guy.
big on stories. I don't post a whole lot on my feed or anything.
Yeah.
Not much on Facebook either or YouTube, but maybe later in life. Right now, it's just stories. So if you want to watch my stories, they're great.
They are good stories.
Yeah,
They are
they're
good
pretty good.
stories.
So
You might
yeah,
get
thanks
some-
for having me
some
on, guys.
motivation.
Appreciate it. It's fun.
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Brad.
We will talk to you soon.
Peace out.
Peace.